much obsessed about regulation is in respect of a very small segment of the crypto business,
Right.
which is what is happening in the exchanges. Some cryptos selling and buying which takes place in exchanges. That is what everyone talks about, that those should be regulated. I think that regulation would come once you recognize the asset, the crypto as assets.
Ten years ago, most people would have laughed if you said you hold a part of your investment portfolio in cryptocurrency, a type of virtual currency that is secured through various cryptographic and computer-generated means. But these days, you might be seen as behind on the times if you don't currently invest or if you have never traded a single Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin in your life. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today it is an honor and a pleasure for me to introduce you all to this very particular session where we are going to know more about the cryptocurrencies. My name is Harsh and I'm going to moderate this session for all of you, wherein I'm going to introduce you all about session and perhaps the person who is going to interact with all of us. First of all, I request you all to kindly acknowledge and welcome the presence of our esteemed guest. And trust me, he is very dynamic, very interesting, and very renowned personality, none other than Mr. Subhash Chandra Garg, sir, who is here with us. I would like to request all the persons, those who are watching this session on YouTube, to kindly upload in the comment section and welcome the presence of our esteemed guest. He served in various key positions for both the Union government and the government of Rajasthan, like as a Principal Secretary Finance, Commissioner Investment and NRI Secretary Budget, Secretary Expenditure, Managing Director of Rajasthan State Road Transport Corporation, Managing Director of Rajasthan State Seats Corporation, Special Secretary Mines and Energy, Chief Executive and Director of Rajasthan Energy Development Corporation, Registrar of University of Rajasthan, and as a District Magistrate and Collector of Rajsamand district in the government of Rajasthan, and as a Union Economic Affairs Secretary, Additional Secretary in the Cabinet Secretariat, Joint Secretary in the Department of Expenditure of Ministry of Finance, Joint Secretary in the Department of Agriculture and Cooperation in the Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, and as a Director in the Department of Economic Affairs in the Ministry of Finance and the Union Government. He also served as Executive Director in the World Bank. And I believe his profile has so many things, so many glories, which I won't be able to explain in next few minutes. But I'm pretty sure during this conversation, we are going to learn a lot from him. So first of all, sir, I welcome you to in this session. Thank you so much for joining and actually agreeing to share your thoughts with us.
Thank you, Harsh. I always enjoy interacting with the young people like you with so much open mind, so much enthusiasm. So very happy to be with you.
Same here, sir. Thank you so much. That's very kind of you. So moving to the topic of today's session, which we have chosen is cryptocurrency, a bright future or just a fad? Like it or not, cryptocurrency is practically everywhere these days, no longer just for day traders and nerds. In fact, many traditional businesses globally are integrating cryptocurrency into their platforms in some form or using it as a mean to launch other types of product. Sir, I want you to share your thoughts on it with our audience. How do you see this cryptocurrency, a bright future or just a fad? Do you think cryptocurrency represents a real market opportunity or a bubble ready to burst?
See, the cryptocurrencies are a far more promising but complex thing than sometimes we view that as a very simple kind of one product which has come up, which is technologically very advanced and all. So I think we should understand this comprehensively and clearly. In my way, in my judgment, there are basically three types of crypto products or assets which are now in the world. One is what we know as currencies. Started with the Bitcoin, and then later on also got into the stable coins. And it also works as the currency in platform of number of crypto platforms like Ethereum and others. So as a currency, there are three main big uses, but currency is one of the three main uses of the cryptos. The second one, in my judgment, is what we can call the business case use, where you produce goods and services, mostly the services, using the blockchain cryptography technology platforms. For example, if you run a decentralized finance application or a decentralized finance business, lending, borrowing, insuring, savings, and that kind of the financial business is a decentralized finance on the crypto platforms. So that's not currency, that's not asset, that's a business. You're producing a service. Likewise, if you sort of produce or run music, right, or you do even mining of bitcoins or something else, that's doing a business related to cryptos, right? Or for that matter, even producing an NFT is a business. So there's a lot of business which have now started sort of being done on the blockchain crypto platform. So that should be recognized as something which is different and separate from the currency function, right? And the third one is, which has now acquired lots of prominence, the cryptos as assets, whether these are NFTs or even the platform itself as an asset. There is a complication because the platform currency is virtually the currency of doing business on that, and the currency for also doing trading on the asset. So if you want to buy anything relating to, let's say, Ethereum, you would only buy the ether as currency, right? So that is the asset. So very clearly NFTs, etc., have come up as major assets. You can raise capital, you can do real estate sort of asset business. So these are the three big cases. So in my judgment, it's not a fad at all. The fad is perhaps limited to the notion of currency, that you would be able to replace the official currencies or the fiat currencies or substitute. That's where the Bitcoin came initially as a currency only. But it has not succeeded in replacing the official currency. In fact, it's not being used as currency, right? Anywhere, very little use is made of the Bitcoin as currency today. It's more used as an asset, right? So my sense is that only currency use is a fad, but the rest of it, whether it's creating assets or doing businesses, is a phenomenally promising technology which is with us.
Indeed, sir. I think you have covered this and described this very beautifully. And I'm sure the people, those who are watching this session, they must have understood this. And sir, my next question to you is actually, the government have proposed the transfer of any virtual cryptocurrency asset will be taxed at 30%. No deduction except cost of acquisition will be allowed, and no loss in transaction will be allowed to carry it forward. The finance minister announced in budget 2022. So, sir, I want to know your opinion on this. How do you see this?
So when I was sort of commenting on India Today TV on the budget proposals, the moment I heard this proposal from the finance minister that the crypto capital gains would be taxed at 30% flat without allowing any deduction with respect to the cost other than the cost of acquisition. And there was also no set off of the losses which you suffer on some of the other of the cryptocurrencies trade. And there was a second proposal, which was to deduct 1% TDS on the transactions if you buy it from the resident Indians. Right? That was the proposal. So the moment I heard, I tweeted. And I said, while this is good for bringing some order for both the investors and the tax officials, I said the party is over. Right? for the crypto enthusiasts, because my sense is, and that is what I'm saying in response to your question, that this 1% TDS is a killer, right? It's the way the crypto trades take place. They do it on the exchange, and they also do a lot of peer-to-peer outside, right? So number one, it affects only the exchange part. The peer-to-peer is nowhere unless you disclose yourself, right? Second, even in the exchange, when you trade, you don't know who the seller is.
Yes.
It's not your, and there is an intermediation, the exchange. In fact, they become the intermediate wallet to keep the part in your crypto. You generally don't buy one full coin or something. You buy a part or fraction or something.
Yes.
Right. So it's impossible, in my judgment, to do this the deduction, that you identify the party. If it is foreigner, it's all right. If it is resident, you deduct, and then you make payment only after deducting that 1%. That all, the trades are settled instantly. The trades have to be settled immediately. You can't allow this that you will deduct and then deposit. And the whole process of registering with the department, taking authorization to deduct and then depositing, it's an impossible thing. So I think the proposals are good in the sense that something has got or is getting some order, but the way they stand as of now, they are just going to be sort of kill the business. And I think the industry, and that's what I suggested to those guys also, that I said, you now get engaged with the government on basically these two big issues, that if you feel that the rate of tax is high, 30%, whereas equities and others are taxed much lower, the capital gains thereof, and more on this TDS business, right? And the accompanied issues of set-off and other things. So I think it will be advisable for this engagement to begin. And maybe after the certain iterations, there might be better sense and better regime for dealing with the taxation of the cryptos. But let me also remind that still there is a whole lot of crypto-related businesses which are outside the tax net. So when I spoke to you about the business case where you produce goods and services on the crypto platforms, that's not at this moment subject to tax. What is subject to tax is only the asset transfer, right? Yes. So still, I think a lot of work would need to be done to bring fully on board the crypto taxation.
Exactly. And sir, I also want you to discuss why actually regulating cryptocurrency is a big challenge for government.
See, regulation comes after you know what is to be regulated.
Yes.
So until you're clear what are you trying to deal with, you can't regulate, right? So as I mentioned earlier, are you regulating currencies? Currencies are not allowed anywhere to be sort of used or issued by other than the official businesses. But here there is as I said, there are two special cases, the stable coins and the in-platform use of the currency, cryptocurrency. So when you do the next version of the digital rupee here, how do you deal with at least these two? Because if you think that you can ban the use of Ether on Ethereum, for that matter, or Tether on the USDT stablecoin crypto platform, then that business is over. That will not survive. They would not do it here, or they would do it outside the pale of law, but that would not survive. You can't integrate the official digital currency with the platforms, right? That is too difficult to do. So when you discuss the currency issue, the regulation thereof, to my mind, would be ban for the general use, but regulating the use as stable coins for foreign exchange payments, like a foreign currency. Under the foreign, so like you deal with the dollar or euro, you may decide to deal with the stable coins, which are nothing but dollar substitutes. But and how do you sort of deal with the in-platform use of the cryptocurrencies? So that is the case concerning currency. Businesses, it will be very different. The businesses which are done on the crypto platforms are housed in organizations which you guys know much well, these decentralized autonomous organizations. They are not companies, they're not partnerships, the owners are not known, their members are not known, the way they deal with humans and others are not known. Mostly the dealing is between two computers or two digital devices. And therefore, this kind of organization would need to be first recognized and given a legal personality, a shape, right? And then you do the regulation part. I think what we are too much obsessed about regulation is in respect of a very small segment of the crypto business,
Right.
which is what is happening in the exchanges. Some crypto selling and buying which takes place in exchanges. That is what everyone talks about, that those should be regulated. I think that regulation would come once you recognize the asset, the crypto as assets, and then you decide that which kind of cryptos would you permit for trading in the country. Like, for example, if I can give the listing, so SEBI regulates the equities trading, right? There are about 14 lakh companies in the country, but there are only about 5,000 companies which are listed.
Yes.
So SEBI does not regulate all the companies, right? It's only the listed companies. So likewise, at some stage, if we are able to figure out that which of the crypto platforms or the crypto assets, to use that term, would be a legit business in the country and would be a legit asset in the country, and then how would that be regulated? So only in the small space, if you talk about, of the crypto assets sort of issuance and trading, then we can talk about the regulation on the lines or similar to what the equities and bonds trading takes place. But whole lot of other cryptos, which is the currencies and the businesses, would require a very different kind of, so as I said, recognizing the DAOs, recognizing the smart contract system, which is very different than the contract law of the country. So a lot of things would need to be done before you come to the stage of regulation.
Exactly. I think so. You have defined this whole process, and I'm sure the people, those who are watching this session, they are going to find us meaningful as well as insightful. And sir, my next question to you is actually your book, The $10 Trillion Dream State of Indian Economy and Policy Reforms Agenda, published by Penguin, is actually released in February 2022. And today I have seen that it is listed in the category of hot releases book in Amazon. So, sir, I request you to kindly, first of all, I congratulate you for that, and I request you, I want you to tell more about it and our viewers.
Today, incidentally, this is at the bestseller #1 in the hot releases category in the macroeconomic segment. So I'm happy that book is receiving a reasonably good reception. The response is good. This book basically brings two things to the table. Number one, it reviews the policy formulation and the consequence of the certain policy choices which we made in last 75 years, right? And it's a very 360-degree, very comprehensive view. So agricultural policies, industrial policies, services policies, land policies, labor policies, financial sector policies, on equity, capital market, currencies. There is some description of the cryptos also. And then fiscal side. So expenditure policies, the debt policies, revenue, taxation, non-taxation. It's a very comprehensive. And it's a very frank, brutal assessment of those policy choices we made. For example, if you would find out a discussion about the consequences of the socialistic pattern of society choices which we made in 50s and 60s, the choices we made for a certain kind of agricultural sort of development, and including the recent farm laws and the labor. So there is very comprehensive, it's been presented in a way where it's more of a storytelling that people can connect rather than presenting dry facts, figures, graphs, tables. Nothing of that sort is there in that book. So that is the first section. And it's a large, big book. So it's about 450 pages of the policy review. And in the second part, which is about 250 pages, I present the bold agenda in my judgment, which India needs to shake up the situation and really have a shot at the $10 trillion economy creation by 2035. I hope you would enjoy it, and your friends would also enjoy it. At some stage, if there is an interest to discuss the book, after you guys have looked at it, have seen it, glanced through it, or read through it, I would be happy to do a session on that.
That would be great. And I am surely going to have one, and I would recommend all my viewers to have actually one. And I'm very much bullish about it, that they are surely going to enjoy it and going to have a meaningful kind of a knowledge. And sir, my next question to you is, or rather, I can say there's a lot more to learn from you, but today I don't want to take too much of your time. So moving to my last question of this session, though entrepreneurship in India isn't new, Indian businesses has come a long way. There are numerous Indian business and companies on the Fortune 500 and a huge number of Indian billionaires. Some of the list are especially inspiring because they managed to make their fortune during the British rule when the environment was not conducive for businesses, and particularly for Indian businesses, the one who succeeded in that environment went the extra mile to succeed. And now as the fund flow to Indian startups continued at a rapid pace with more and more businesses reaching the $1 billion valuation. So, sir, my question to you is, do you think Indian startups are key to navigating disruptions, and how these startups will help India to achieve the goal of $10 trillion economy?
The Indian startup system is full of enterprise, and I see so much of enthusiasm, energy, innovativeness taking place. Let's remember the startups are essentially three businesses. Right? One, the startups do a lot of digitalization of the distribution business. So they're disrupting the distribution, whether it's the e-commerce by sort of selling goods and goods, be it groceries to anything else, as a sort of competition to the traditional channels of delivering goods, right? That is one big business. It also includes in the services space. So earlier, if you were consuming banking services in a certain way, today by digitalizing the banking businesses or payments or credit using the digital technologies, you're doing a faster, better, good kind of service. So I see enormous scope for this process to continue. This would hurt the traditional businesses, which is understandable at every stage when a new technology comes, which is far more efficient and cheaper, so to say, than the existing one. It substitutes, right? Automobiles substituted the bullock carts and others way back earlier. Likewise, today, the digital services and the e-commerce will sort of disrupt the traditional banking businesses, traditional mom and pop stores, etc. Well, that's one big business. The second big business is what one can say the digitalization of the industry and the agriculture and other businesses. So even agriculture today is not done in a way it was done earlier. So there is a lot of drip systems, others, and their digitalization makes it more efficient. The way you produce electricity, for example, the way you transmit electricity, or even the industry. So this industry 4 and things like that, which is what is happening a lot. So and in this space, Indians have come into their being now. So they're creating clouds, they're creating software as a service and other kinds of things. But we made little later entry. So we're catching up there. The third business is essentially the technology business, right? So you create new kind of chips, you create new kind of platforms, you design chips, semiconductors, the fiber business through which you transfer. So in technology business, we are somewhat laggard. We are not in the forefront.
Exactly.
Right. So we don't have Intel, so we don't have TMC and others, which are big business. So our entrepreneurs have not gone into it. There are hundreds of reasons we can discuss someday. But in these three big businesses, we are best suited for the first one and the second one. So I see this happening and this growing. So future seems to be quite bright.
Indeed, sir. And I'm sure they are going to actually create an impact as well as a lot of jobs for the Indians. And thank you so much, sir, for joining and giving your important time. It was a kind of a healthy conversation with you over the topic, and we look forward to conduct more sessions with you in future. And I truly enjoyed this.
Thank you, Harsh. All the best to you and your friends.
My pleasure.
Bye-bye.
Bye, sir.
On the ground is where I stand. Never give up, that was always the plan. It's so cold outside. I'm alone, I'm alright. It's so cold outside. I'm alone.